Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about unfortunate love was how Rishi get angry after finding out that Neelam told everyone not to help Lakshmi after Lakshmi was arrested and put in prison. So let's continue from there. At the police station, Lakshmi thinks that this cannot happen, that Rishi haven't come till now. She thinks that Shalu would have called and informed him. She thinks to come out. The lady constable says, your husband has come. Lakshmi says, Rishi came. The lady constable says, not yours, but another person's husband. Lakshmi says Rishi did not come and she feels bad. The other prisoner asks Lakshmi to pray that her husband should not come. The lady prisoner says, I came to know that you have mixed poison in your husband's hotel food, and says your husband will come and grab your neck. She asks if she did this to take revenge or if she is having an affair with someone else, and says this is what her husband will say. Another prisoner says, look at her face, she cannot poison the food. Lakshmi says to the prisoners that my husband cannot scold me. They tell her that her husband will not come and he will leave her. Lakshmi says my husband will come and take me away from here because he loves and says he is very good and he is different from others. He will support and he will believe me and he will prove my innocence. The prisoners ask Lakshmi that why did her husband not come till now and say someone might have stopped him. Lakshmi thinks if Malishka, Neelam or Karishma stop Rishi from coming to save her. Neelam says to Malishka that Rishi said that he cannot see inauspicious Lakshmi in pain, and Malishka says that Lakshmi has kept Rishi in her clutches. Kiran says to Neelam that Lakshmi might keep Rishi away from you. Ayush says if Rishi is in Lakshmi's hand, then why did Lakshmi bear everything here? She should have gone with Rishi long time ago. Ayush says Lakshmi loves this family and that is why she bears everything. Karishma says I cannot believe that Ayush is my son, and Sonia says Ayush is also in Lakshmi's clutches. Karishma says to everyone that even Ahana is in Lakshmi's clutches. Grandma says even me, I am in Lakshmi's clutch. Virendra says I'm feeling very ashamed, and he tells Neelam that he had warned her before. He says Rishi cannot see Lakshmi in pain and Rishi loves Lakshmi a lot. Neelam says you are giving me much pain with your words. Already, Rishi had already given me pain. Grandma asks Neelam that didn't you hurt Rishi by keeping his wife in prison? Neelam says I was stopping Rishi from walking on the wrong path. Virendra says it is your perspective. Grandma says you have hurt Rishi because you hurt Lakshmi. Grandma asks Neelam to accept Lakshmi if she doesn't want to hurt Rishi. Karishma says Mom. Grandma says the talk is over and she goes away from there. Rishi comes to the police station. Lakshmi senses his presence and tells the prisoners that she was sure that he would come. The lady constable comes to lock the prisoner. Lakshmi asks the constable to let her meet her husband and says he has come. The lady constable asks, how did you know? Lakshmi says she has felt it and she asks her to let her meet her husband. The lady constable says amazing love and she goes. Rishi comes to the inspector and asks him to leave Lakshmi Oberoi and says she is innocent and she did not do any crime. The inspector says let the court decide. Rishi asks, can't you identify the people? The inspector asks, who are you? Rishi says he is Rishi Oberoi, the hotel Oberoi Sheraton's owner and also Lakshmi's husband. The lady constable thinks that Lakshmi was right, that her husband would come and save her. Rishi insists on the inspector to free Lakshmi. The inspector asks Rishi to get Lakshmi bail. Rishi requests the inspector to let him meet her and says Lakshmi is expecting that Rishi would come. The inspector refuses. The lady constable signals to the inspector to let Rishi meet Lakshmi. Rishi says, I beg of you, let me meet Lakshmi for humanity's sake. The inspector agrees and he asks the lady constable to take Rishi to his wife. The lady prisoner says to Lakshmi that you were shouting that your husband Rishi would come. Another prisoner says husbands are selfish. The lady prisoner says to Lakshmi that your husband will not come. Lakshmi says Rishi will come and he will not break my trust. The lady constable says that Rishi has not broken your trust and he has come to meet you. Lakshmi gets happy and comes out of the lockup. The lady constable says love should be like this. At home, Malishka fumes with anger and says the more she tries to separate Rishi and Lakshmi, the more closer they go to each other. Lakshmi comes to the meeting room and sees Rishi standing and she gets happy. Lakshmi sees Rishi standing in the meeting room and she gets emotional. Rishi comes near Lakshmi. Lakshmi cries and hugs Rishi. Rishi also gets teary eyes. A song plays in the background. Rishi says, Lakshmi, I am sorry. Lakshmi says, no, I am fine. She says, I mean I am fine now. You have come. Rishi says, I have come, but I am late. And he says sorry to her. Lakshmi asks Rishi not to say sorry to her and says, you came for me and that is enough for me. Malishka tells Kiran that Lakshmi has hypnotized Rishi and Rishi went there to get Lakshmi freed. Kiran says Rishi has showed God by going against Neelam. Malishka asks if she is praising Rishi. She says Lakshmi has done black magic on Rishi. Kiran says everyone is happy that Rishi and Lakshmi care for each other and this is not good. Malishka says to Kiran that didn't you hear what Virendra uncle said about love? Kiran says I heard it. She says nothing is over. We have one chance and that is Neelam. She says if Neelam turns her face from you, then your chance will finish and it will be the last day for you here and Rishi will be in your dream. Malishka says no mom. Rishi will become Lakshmi's dream and I will do anything to get him. She says I will not leave Rishi even if he gets close to Lakshmi. Rishi says to Lakshmi that I have come because you have called me. He asks, did you think that I will not come? Lakshmi asks if I should think like this. Rishi says, whatever happened with you? Lakshmi says, I haven't done anything really. Rishi says, I trust you completely and I know that you can never do this and he asks her not to worry. Rishi says to Lakshmi that don't get scared. I will talk to the lawyer. I have come now. Lakshmi says, I am not scared because you have come. Rishi says, but you were scared before and he says sorry. Lakshmi says she was feeling good and peaceful here and says something happens at home and you call me many times so it is good that I got rid of you for some time. Rishi says to Lakshmi that I was getting worried and he wanted to get rid of me. He calls her Mrs. Oberoi and says I will not let this happen and he holds her hand. The inspector and the lady constable comes there. The inspector tells the lady constable that they are standing as if this is their house. The lady constable says they love each other and it is good. The inspector asks Rishi to go. Rishi says just give me 5 more minutes. The inspector says I gave you permission to meet her going against the rules and says next time you would have problem. Rishi says I will not let Lakshmi stay here for long. The inspector says you would have problem. Lakshmi asks Rishi to go. Rishi tells Lakshmi that he is going but he will return to pick her. He signals to her and he goes and the lady constable asks Lakshmi to come. Bani asks Shalu if Ayush said that Rishi left from Bangalore. Shalu says yes. Bani asks her to call Ayush and asks if he got Lakshmi freed. Shalu says I don't know if brother-in-law will go against Neelam. Bani says then who will get Lakshmi freed? Shalu says we will get her freed. Ranu asks them to be on land and she asks did you think of how to get Lakshmi freed? Ayush calls Shalu and asks her to come behind the house and he tells her about an accident. Shalu says I will come and see. She collides with Neha and Neha's glass falls down. Neha scolds Shalu for making her juice falls down. Shalu says I will make juice for you after coming back. Ranu says who will clean the floor? Shalu asks Bani to do it and she leaves. Bani says I will clean the floor. Ranu and Neha scold her. Neha asks Bani to make juice for her again and she goes. Ranu thinks that what about my work? When will Balvinda call me? And she thinks to get money from Balvinda. Neelam thinks of Rishi going against her to free Lakshmi. She says, how can my son go against me? I cannot even think it would ever happen even in my dream. Kiran comes to Neelam and she closes the door. Neelam asks, why did you close the door? Kiran says, I don't want anyone to hear us because I want to talk to you about something important. She asks, did you think that this would happen? Rishi has gone against you due to Lakshmi. She says, I know you are upset. Malishka and I are scared and our insecurities has increased. Kiran says to Neelam that Rishi told us that Lakshmi is important to him and she asks if Rishi will leave Lakshmi and marry Malishka. She says, I am here in your house for my daughter and for your son's marriage. Neelam asks, what do you want? Kiran says, I want promise. She says Malishka is crying and she is scared. She says everyone regard that inauspicious girl as their daughter and she asks her to promise her that Malishka will become the daughter-in-law of the house. Kiran says to Neelam that this promise should never break. Neelam recalls Rishi's words and she promised Kiran that Malishka will become the daughter-in-law of the house. She says not to you, but to myself. Malishka will become my daughter-in-law and she thinks that before that, I have to get my son back from Lakshmi. She cannot snatch my son and my family from me. As long as I am alive, everything will be mine, even my son. Rishi is still at the police station and he thinks that he forgot one thing to Lakshmi. The inspector asks, where is he going to? Rishi says he forgot to tell Lakshmi something and says he will talk to her for 2 minutes and then he will leave. The inspector says we will give your message to Lakshmi and he asks the lady constable to take Rishi's message and give it to his wife. Rishi asks the lady constable if she will give his message to Lakshmi. The lady constable says okay. Rishi says I love you and he asks her to say this to Lakshmi and the lady constable says okay. Rishi asks the lady constable to also tell Lakshmi that she is not closer to him, but her touch and her warmth is with him. When he closes his eyes, he feels that Lakshmi wants to hug him. The lady constable asks, do you want to say this? Rishi says yes, and along with this, I want to give Lakshmi a kiss. I will give the kiss to you on your cheeks, and you should give the kiss to Lakshmi on her cheeks on my behalf. Lakshmi is happy in the lockup and she thinks of Rishi's promise. The lady prisoner asks Lakshmi if he was her husband. Lakshmi says he was my husband only and says he is different and he did not accuse me. The lady prisoner asks if Lakshmi is saying the truth. Lakshmi says yes. Another prisoner says Lakshmi is saying the truth, else she wouldn't have smiled. Shalu comes to the backside of the house and thinks that where is Ayush? She gets worried thinking that where is he? She calls his name and Ayush comes there. She falls and Ayush holds her. They have an eye lock and a song plays in the background. The inspector tells Rishi that his joke is enough and he asks him to come later to meet Lakshmi. Rishi says what if my emotions get weak and goes out of my body? He asks the lady constable to go and tell Lakshmi right now, but the lady constable refuses. Rishi says then I would go and tell Lakshmi inside the prison and he is about to go inside. The inspector stops Rishi and asks him to leave. The inspector asks the constable to arrest Rishi. The inspector asks the constable to push him out. Rishi runs inside the lockup and closes the door. He says I will go and tell Lakshmi whatever I want to say and he calls Lakshmi. He hid while the inspector and the constable try to chase him but they couldn't get to him. He smiles and he runs to Lakshmi's lockup. See love. Look at Lakshmi's shiny cheek. She was so happy when Rishi came. You guys will get to watch it very soon on Zeeworld. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you all again in my next video. Don't forget to check the next episode in the comment section. Bye guys.